we're going to see how Muhammad and Jesus both dealt with disrespectful people or those people who came against them. Now, please keep in mind the actions of their respective disciples. We'll start with Muhammad. This is Ibn Ishaq, page 675. This deals with a poet who came against Muhammad. It says, Abu Afrik was part of the Umayyad clan. He showed his dissatisfaction when the apostle killed Al-Adarf bin Sa'id bin Samat and said, Long have I lived, but never have I seen an assembly or collection of people more faithful to their undertaking and their allies when called upon than the sons of Quaidaka. When they assembled, made to overthrow mountains and never submitted. A rider who came to them split them in two, saying, Permitted, forbidden, all sorts of things. Had you believed in glory or kingship, you would have followed Tubba. Muhammad responds, the apostle said, Who will deal with this rascal for me? Whereupon Salim bin Umar went forth and killed him. So here we see that a poet comes against Muhammad and writes a poem against him, and Muhammad asks, who's going to deal with this troublemaker, this rascal? And a companion of Muhammad, a follower, comes and kills him for Muhammad. So I want to look at another example with regards to somebody coming against Muhammad. And this can be found with regards to Ibn Ishaq, page 676. A poetess comes against him. And the poetess says, You obey a stranger who is not of yours, nor of Murid or Magic. Do you expect to do it from him after the killing of your chiefs? Like angry men waiting for a cook's broth. Is there no man of pride who would attack him by surprise and cut off the hopes of those whom expect aught from him? So here, this woman comes and does a poem against him, and she obviously asks for somebody to come and take care of Muhammad. And it continues on. Muhammad, he understands what's going on. He heard about this, and it said, when the apostle heard what she had said, he said, Who will rid me of Marwa's daughter, Umad bin Ayad Khamidmi, who was with him, heard him, and that very night he went to her house and killed her. In the morning he came to the apostle and told him what he had done. And he said, You have helped God and his apostle, O Umar, when he asked if he would have to bear any evil consequences. The apostle said, 2 goats won't butt heads about her. So Umar went back to his people. Did you notice what it said? It said that you have helped God and his apostle. So there's no punishment for this man who committed this assassination. There's no reprimand, there's no nothing. Muhammad is actually thrilled that this happened. He said that you helped God and you helped the messenger, the apostle. Now let's compare that with how Jesus conducts himself. For example, we can look in Luke chapter 9, verse 51 through 56. And it says, When the days were coming to a close for him to be taken up, he determined to journey to Jerusalem. He sent messengers ahead of himself, and on the way they entered a village of the Samaritans to make preparations for him. But they did not welcome him, because he determined to journey to Jerusalem. When the disciples James and John saw this, they said, Lord, do you want us to call down fire from heaven and to consume them? Notice this. But he turned and rebuked them, and they went to another village. So James and John asked Jesus, do you want us to call down fire from heaven? What does he do? He turns to them and rebukes them for it. I want to bring to your attention another text that highlights the Lord dealing with his enemies. We can look in John chapter 18, verse 1 through 11. It says, "After Jesus had said these things, he went out with his disciples across the Kidron Valley, where there was a garden, and he and his disciples went into it. Judas, who betrayed him, also knew the place, because Jesus often met there with his disciples. So Judas took a company of soldiers and some officials from the chief priests and the Pharisees, and came there with lanterns, torches, and weapons." So here we have these guards coming with torches and weapons to confront Jesus. And it says, Then Jesus, knowing everything that was about to happen to him, went out and said to them, "Who is it that you're seeking?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they said. "I am he." Jesus told them Judas, who betrayed him, was also standing with them. When Jesus told them, "I am he," they stepped back and fell to the ground. Then he asked them again, "Who is it that you're seeking?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they said. "I told you I am he." Jesus replied, "So if you're looking for me, let these men go." This was to fulfill the words he had said, "I have not lost one of these that you have given me." Notice verse 10. Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant's ear and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Notice what Jesus does in verse 11. At this, Jesus said to Peter, "Put away your sword. Am I not to drink the cup my Father has given me?" Here we have a command for Peter to cease and desist, to put away his sword. But here we can see the difference between how Muhammad dealt with his followers, where he asked these men to go out and carry out assassinations for him, and yet we can see where Jesus rebukes his disciples for wanting to do violent acts, or to actually carrying those out whenever he reprimanded Peter for cutting off Malchus's ear. So here we can just see the massive difference between the conduct of Muhammad and the conduct of Jesus Christ.